Hi guys, I hope that you are all well on this bright sunny day. It's a little bit chilly outside, but I'm grateful for the sunshine considering that we're on lockdown. So I've just quickly jumped on here today just to tell you a bit about my books and the reasons why I wrote my books. So I'm going to share some information with you. So let's just get me out of the way and just so that you can see what it is that I'm talking about. Um, so yes, if for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jacqueline Francis and I'm an author, an award-winning author. I must say that because it's quite important because I worked very hard to get this award. I'm also an advocate for women and girls for healthy relationships. And I'm also an educator. I was a former teacher, so I have experience of teaching adults as well as teenagers as well, and including men as well. So today, what I would like to talk about are my books and how educational they actually are. So if I start off with Walk Quiet, Run Quick, I just want to show you quickly the manuscript. This is the manuscript for Walk Quiet, Run Quick. I did say it's actually an educational resource, educational teaching resource for women and girls. And the reason why I wrote this book was to empower women and girls when they enter into relationships, because there is a considerable rise in coercive and controlling behavior, especially among teenagers, and simply because they don't know where love ends and abuse starts. So they all think that it's all one thing. Do you know what I mean? But in Walk Quiet, Run Quick, I've written it so it asks questions, and the questions are important because no one tells you what to expect. There's no manual that tells you what to expect when you enter into a relationship. So for me, writing Walk Quiet, Run Quick, it gives you a sort of insight as to a story that starts evolving. So if I can just share with you the main objective as to why I wrote Walk Quiet, Run Quick. Let me just move myself out of the way. Okay, so the aim of Walk Quiet, Run Quick is to highlight toxic behaviors that can occur in relationships, those red flags that we don't seem to pay much attention to. And it's also to realize that abuse does not discriminate. So just because you're from a different background or ethnicity or social status, that doesn't mean to say that you are immune from being abused. It can happen to anybody. So that's the aim, to highlight the fact that it doesn't discriminate, and also to highlight some of those red flags called coercive and controlling behavior that you may think or interpret it as something else. When you read the book, the objective is to be able, at the end of the book, you'll be able to list some of those coercive and controlling behaviors, and also be able to recognize in what form, what shape, what words they come out into, and be able to describe it. And those some of the warning signs. And also, if you feel as if you are going through an abusive relationship, and I know that we're on lockdown at the moment because of this pandemic, the COVID-19, and there has been an increased rise in calls to women's aid. I think they said it was 125% increase. So don't be afraid to discuss what might be happening with a family member or a friend if you can, only if you can. And also, if you're planning to leave, what would you take with you? What is it? What are the things that you have to think about? Especially if you have children, what are the things that you have to remember? So that's why I wrote Walk Quiet, Run Quick. So as I said, to show you what the aim is of the book and the objective, what you would learn when you finished reading the book. Okay, so I just want to introduce you to a few of the of my characters so that you get a better feel for it. So, walk quiet, run quick. Yeah, walk quiet, run quick. So my main characters are Valencia and Jack. So they are the main characters. And then you have the boyfriend, his name is Liam. And then you have the best friend, her name's Alicia. And then here you have Val's biological birth mother, and then you have Val's or Valencia's adopted mother, and then you have her half sister by the name of Prim. Right. So if I can give you a little bit of background so that you get a feel for my characters and what's happening. So when I mentioned before that that abuse does not discriminate, here we have Val, shortened for Valencia. She was born in Spain. She's 25 years old. She's a journalist for a magazine, a very popular, well-known magazine. She owns her own home. She lives in West London, but she also owns her own business. So she's an entrepreneur. Professionally, she's confident and she has a great personality, and she gets on well with everybody, or everybody gets on well with her. And then you have Jack, charming, good looking. When we do meet guys, for some of us women, some guys are really nice, they're really charming, butter wouldn't melt to their mouth, they'll do anything for you. He's very persuasive though. He says he's an entrepreneur, but you can never pinpoint exactly what it is that he does. So as well as being persuasive, he's very evasive, but he's a manipulator and he's a controller. And then you have Alicia, which is Val's best friend. They met at beauty college and they hit it off. And that's maybe because, they're probably born in the same month, but whatever it was, they hit it off straight away. She's a professional makeup artist and she has her own business. And then you have Liam. Now, he's a prolific workaholic, totally different from Jack, as you can see. But he's trying to find or trying to gain his father's respect, because his father is a successful businessman and he wants to follow in his father's footsteps. But he's not ready for marriage, and that's what Val wants. She's ready to settle down. She wants kids, she wants, the picket fence and stuff like that. But Liam's not ready for that. And then you have Nicola. Now, Nicola is a professional businesswoman. She's in the top of her game. She's very, what should I say? She works in the corporate world. So, she works amongst a lot of men. She's in the top of her field. But when she went away, she found out she was pregnant. But she wasn't ready for kids. It was about her career. So what she did, she was in denial. This professional woman walked away and left her child in Spain. And it was left for her best friend, Beth, who she'd known for years. They met at university, who had to bring Val back from Spain. And eventually she adopted her because Nicola just disappeared off the face of the earth. So of course, Beth is disgusted by her behavior. And then you have Prim. Now, Nicola, who is Nicola's child. But what Val couldn't understand is, why did she not give Prim away, Primrose? So it's her half sister, and there's an 11-year gap, but she is desperate to meet her older sister. So that's just a little bit of background of the characters. So what the book is about is, in the storyline, in the thread of the storyline, it's Jack that does these things that are called controlling behavior, which are controlling behavior, and also coercive behavior, very intimidating. But as far as Val was concerned, he was protecting her. Whatever he did for her was in her best interest. So she didn't realize that she was being of course she was being physically abused. She knew she was being physically abused, but emotionally and psychologically, she didn't realize. And these, I just wanted to highlight some of the ways in which Jack was controlling or manipulating or intimidating her by calling her names and trying to isolate her from her family and friends. I mean, Alicia, she's a bubbly girl. They talk practically every day, you know, so to be able so for Alicia not to be able to talk to Val, you know, it was quite concerning for her. But for Val, it was, well, you know, Jack was feeding her all this information that Alicia wasn't good for her, that she wasn't a good friend, and that she was talking behind her back and things like that. Um, but anytime Val did go out to work or went to her business, he would be messaging her or calling her or tracking her movements. And there were times when he was also asking her for money for this investment that he was taking part in. But also remember, you know, there's only so much information that I can fit into the book. But there are different forms of financial abuse. Here we have financial abuse here, where he's asking her for money to invest, and it's a huge sum of money. And of course, because she wants her own business, that she's able to offer it to him because he's promising to pay back. And here again, he's hitting, and he bullies her. And obviously, you know, because she loves him, because he says, you know, that it's I'm doing it for you, it's for our future. You know, she believes him, and so she accepts his behaviour, his controlling and coercive behaviour. So going through the book, she experiences all these different things, but she doesn't know. Yes, she's been in relationships before and it's been fine. She hasn't been abused or anything like that. Well, not that she knows of, but this was on a different level. She didn't know the signs. Let's just move myself out of the way. She didn't know the signs. So when she did eventually decide, you know, enough was enough, and she called her sister Prim, she called Alicia to say and explain to them what was happening and that she needed to make her escape. But she was left she was left with these asking these questions. What is coercive controlling behavior? Let's just hear here. So what is controlling behavior? You know, what steps do I need to take when she was when she was going through, what she was going through? What steps do I need to take, to get through this? And also, how can I stop an argument from escalating? This is all when she's in the relationship, and when she's, when she's planning to leave, what would her next step be? How can I build up my confidence to leave? Or how can I build up my confidence after, if I get out of this, how do I build my confidence back up? Would I be able to have another relationship, a normal relationship again? How can I protect myself? She's asking what strategy she can use, to protect herself. And again, in the news the other day, they were saying, Woman's Aid and Cosmopolitan magazine was saying that teens are unaware of where does love start and when does love end and abuse start, because the lines can be blurred and you're not sure, so what do you do? How do you know that it's not love? How do you know? And what's the difference? What's the difference other than being physically hit? What is the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy relationship? So these are just some of the questions. Of course, there are loads more, but these are just some of the questions that Val is asking herself. And there'll be other girls out there, there'll be other women out there, there'll be teenagers out there that will be asking exactly the same question. What's the difference between a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship? What is coercive and controlling behavior? How am I going to get through this? I mean, my self-esteem is, rock bottom. How am I going to build myself up? What strategies am I going to use to protect myself during and after I leave this relationship? Will I ever be able to get back on track? So again, these are some of the questions that she's asking. So based on those questions that Val is asking, I wrote the Relationship Jigsaw. There we go, Relationship Jigsaw. So all those questions that Val is asking, I have put those answers in this book. So I've based some of it on my own personal experience of being emotionally abused by my siblings. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in an abusive relationship with a partner. It could be with a family member. And again, it can also be with a friend. But, you know, for me personally, it was my siblings. They were controlling, you know, until it got to a point where I started to lose my identity because I wasn't conforming to, you know, the way that they wanted me to live, or by their rules, or by their values, or by their beliefs. So what happened to me, I was ostracized, I was rejected. And as much as I love my siblings and I wanted to talk to them, I wanted to go to family gatherings, but I was completely ignored. And that has a huge impact when you've been estranged from your siblings and they've just rejected you because you're not conforming to, you know, what they believe in. But, you know, going back to the relationship jigsaw will answer all the questions, well, most of the questions that Val is asking. And as I said, other people, young girls or women or teenage may be asking themselves. So the aim of the relationship jigsaw is to empower women and girls how they can build their self-esteem back up. Okay, so this book is great if you're not yet in a relationship, so it's pre-relationship, so it can give you sort of an idea what to look out for, those red flags, so you don't get caught up in it just like Val did. It can also help you during your relationship if there's something that you're not quite sure about. And also post-relationship, once you've left the relationship, how do you start to build yourself up? You know, how do you start building your self-esteem up and confidence to get back on track and get back out into the world? So when you read the relationship jigsaw, the objective is for you to identify what coercive controlling behavior is. It'll also be able to access tools and strategies to remedy situations that you may find yourself in. And it also, I mean, it says 8 key pieces for a healthy, happy relationship. So those 8 key pieces, I call them the puzzle pieces. There are principles, which are my puzzle pieces, and there are 8 of them. So if you read those 8 puzzle pieces, those 8 principles, that will allow you to get back on track, to start building up your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence. So this is the message that Val would like to send to all women and young girls who may be going through something in their relationship, or if they don't know about relationships and they're thinking, you know, what do I need to learn? You know, because there are things to learn. You know, if there was a book out there, I'm sure we'll all be reading it. But this is her message to all women and young girls. Take it from me. I thought I was in love. He told me he loved me. My boyfriend Jack said and did all the right things. He made me promises that it wouldn't happen again whenever he hit me. He broke those promises. He said that he was protecting me, but he was controlling me. I want all the girls out there, all the women out there, the young teens entering the relationship, please educate yourself on those red flags. Be engaged, be educated, and be empowered. I just want to quickly share with you, this is a rather long A4 review of Walk Quiet, Run Quick, and it's from someone, a young girl who read the book, Walk Quiet, Run Quick, and she was very taken back by its content. And she recognized some of those sentences, some of those phrases, some of those behaviors that her partner was, well, what she was experiencing at the time with her partner. And she wished that she had read something like this before, or she wished that someone had told her about some of those red flags, which would have saved her a lot of time, hardship, and she would not have been a victim. She wouldn't have stayed in her relationship for that length of time. So yeah, sorry, there we go. So Walk Quiet Run Quick is where fiction, yes, it's a fictional book, but it's where it meets real life, because I got the idea to write the book from speaking to many women who were victims and who were living in refuges. And they shared their stories with me. I was providing emotional support at the time. They were sharing their stories with me. So what I've written is real. Yes, it's a fictional book, but the content is real. And I'm pleased to say that Divas of Colour voted me Best Author of the Year for the storyline in Walk Quiet Run Quick, so I'm quite pleased with that. And the Relationship Jigsaw, again, it's an educational book. It's a non-fiction book, whereas Walk Quiet Run Quick is a fictional book, and the Relationship Jigsaw is a non-fictional book. And again, it's going to create awareness, educate you, so that it leaves you feeling empowered. You know the signs, you know the behaviour, you know what an abuser looks like. Because when Val met Jack, he had seen her twice before, but she didn't know that. Just thought I'd put that in there. He'd already seen her, but they hadn't met. So it was almost as if he was targeting her, but she was vulnerable anyway, which, you know, many young women or young girls are, and teenagers are. They're quite vulnerable. And the Relationship Jigsaw, I'm pleased to say that I was the recipient of the Humanity Awards from Wages, which is Women and Girls Empowerment Support against domestic abuse. So yeah, that's about it really. That's the reason why I wrote Walk Quiet Run Quick. That's the reason I wrote the Relationship Jigsaw. They are both educational resources which can be used with your teenager. You can sit and read a story together, and maybe when you read the story together, you can think, well, is that a red flag? What was it that he said? What was it that he did? Or, I mean, it works both ways. It could be the woman that's the abuser as much as it is the man, but we know for sure that statistics say that it's more women that are abused than men. 1 in 6 women are abused, 1 in 4 women are abused. And the Relationship Jigsaw, again, will answer all the questions that Val was asking and provide you much more information. Even again, sharing part of my story as well. The 8 principles which will give you, once you leave a relationship, or even if you're in it, how to make things better. I don't know. It's really, for me, it's really important that you familiarize yourself with them. So the first one is resilience, emotional intelligence, being able to socialize, have your own friends, you know, don't let anyone try to take your power away from you, you know, and that's what happens. Most girls or young women, you know, we tend to give our power away so easily, you know, so try not to do that. And there must be equality in your relationships, and you must be able to communicate, say what's on your mind, you know, without, you know, and hopefully, you know, your partner will not get upset about it. It will even tell you, you know, how to diminish a conversation or an argument before it escalates. You know, so that's why I wrote both of my books, and I'm so happy that I was able to publish myself the Relationship Jigsaw. My publishing company is called Legacy Press Publishing. Legacy because I want to leave a legacy, and I urge everybody to try and leave a legacy. What are you going to leave behind? What are your footprints? How will people know you, you know, once you're no longer here? So that's it. So thank you very much for joining me and sharing. Thank you very much. And we will catch up again soon. So take care until next time. Both of the books are available on Amazon and also on any online stores if you want to educate and engage yourself and empower yourself with what I've mentioned today. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.